Hi, my name is Alan and I'm a video editor and motion graphics artist. Today, what we're going to be looking at is my workflow in a recently discovered application called Affinity Designer. Now, they're a great piece of software that allows you to create user interfaces and it's a vector-based software. So what we're going to look at today is my workflow in creating a logo, starting off inside of Affinity Designer, and then creating a very simple animation inside of Motion, and then putting the final project together inside of Final Cut. Now, this is not an in-depth tutorial in any of those three pieces of software, but it's really to kind of show you the project that I created based on the information I received through a client who gave me the information through a colleague of mine. So it's really kind of show you the workflow of the brief I received, designing the logo in Affinity, quick little animation and motion, and then straight into Final Cut. Now, if you guys have not heard of Affinity before, do check them out on their website. It's a great little site there, got some great tutorials and a great little forum there. So do check that out and kind of get involved and see what's going on. And if I click on this little tab here, this is Door9, and who Door9 are, they create this online video platform for independent video producers to really kind of showcase their talent and their work. If I just click on this blog a second, and this is the logo we're going to be recreating today. So we're not going to put that Door9 that text there, but it's this little icon here, this yellow icon that we're going to recreate inside of Affinity, and then we're going to get to work. Okay, here we go. So first of all, if we see on my desktop, I've got this Door9 folder. I'm going to double click to open it up. Inside of here, I've got the original file. And what this is the Google Play advert that was on TV a while ago. Maybe a year or so, maybe a bit longer, I can't remember. But this was the inspiration that was given to me with what Door9, my client, wanted to recreate. So most of you guys may remember this. What I'm doing, I'm just going to select it and play it back so you guys can have an idea of what we're going to reproduce today using Affinity, Motion, and of course Final Cut. But again, you know, rather than using this Google the Google icon, what we're going to be using is actually the Door9 logo. So I'm just going to select this and play this back so you guys can have a quick view of a better understanding of what we're going to achieve today. Go. So really great advert. I love the way they put this together. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to skip back a little bit. If we go to around, here we go, 10-11 seconds. You can see how the video is sort of coming out of the logo, and you can still see the logo in the middle. And we'll just go back a frame or two. You see the video's inside, switches outside and back in. And we're going to reproduce this as well. And it's very simple to achieve. I'm going to show you this towards the end inside the Final Cut, because that's how I worked on this project. So let's just close this down. And let's close this down. Hopefully, you know, that was just there to kind of show you what we're going to achieve today. So what we're going to do, we're going to get on with this, and we're going to start with open up Affinity. So I'm just going down to my dock and let's get Affinity Designer open. Now again, you guys can choose to follow along with me, or you can create your own logo. Let's just choose, let's close that for a second. And let's go up to the file menu, and I'm going to go new. And it's automatically remembered my last settings. And it is web that I want, and it is this one down here, the full HD 1080p, so it's 1920 by 1080 because it's going to go on top of a video. Now this is the part I want to make sure is correct, is having this box ticked for a transparent background, and all will make sense as we go through this video. So I'm just going to click on OK, and then we have that document created. Now again, you guys can follow along, and I am going to be using specific dimension in creating this logo and specific colors. You guys can feel free to follow along with me, and I'll give you that information, or please go ahead and, you know, create take what I give you and go ahead and create your thing, and let us know how that works out. So first of all, I need to create a background. So I'm going to come down here and create a rectangle. And let's just fill it out. Now I don't like this sort of off-white color that it's given me. So I'm just going to click on this, double click on this little color icon here. And I'm just going to boost these up to 255 to kind of create that white. And that's fine, I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to come over to my layers panel now. And there's my rectangle. Oops. And actually let's rename that. So I'm just going to go BG. Call it the background, and while it's still selected, I'm going to use a shortcut Command J to duplicate, and let's just call this background 1. And I'm selecting both now using the Command key, and I'm going to lock them so I don't accidentally move them. I'll actually create another one. Let's select that and let's get rid of that one. So what we're going to do now is look at creating the actual logo for itself for the actual door 9. And the reason why I have 2 backgrounds would all be revealed very shortly. Now with door 9, the way it's laid out is like a door panel. It has these panels in it. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to select the trapezoid. I'm going to come over here and just drag a shape out. Now I can come up here and resize it and reshape it and use the node tool to sort of really change these left and right points. But I know the specific dimensions of each of these, so I'm going to go straight ahead, make sure it's selected. I'm going to come down to the bottom right here to my transform panel, and I'm actually going to type in the specific dimensions of this. So I know that this top panel, the width for this top panel needs to be 530.8 pixels, and I know the height needs to be 187.1. Brilliant. So what I need to do now is change these left and right points. I know this left point needs to be 35%, so let's just drag that up to 35, and this right point needs to come down to 65. So I'm going to type that in there. Brilliant. So let's just select my tool again. Here we go. So right now it hasn't got no fill color. So I'm going to double click on this again. And I know the specific color for this shape. So under the RGB settings, I'm just going to dial in the color I need. So the red is okay at 255. For the green, it needs to be 216. And let's go down to the blue, and that needs to be 61. And let's just close that, and there we go, and there's that yellow. So what I need to do now is just rotate this around, and there we go, and there we've got our top panel. So what I'm going to do now is create this left side panel over here. So rather than coming back down and recreating it, I'm just going to hold down the Option key and click and drag, and I'm going to rotate while holding down the Shift key. And again, I'm just going to use the Move tool just to move that in place. But what I need to do is actually resize this. So for this left one, this actually needs to be, the width needs to actually be 490.1. Just dial it in, 490.1. And the height on this one is fine. So what we need to do now is just select my node tool. Here we go. So I can change these left and right points. And I'm going to come up here and change the left point to 38. Here we go, just dial it up a little bit. And the right point on the left panel needs to be 65, so that's fine. I'm going to press V from my, just come right here. There we go. And I'm going to put it in place. You can see because I've got my snapping turned on, I don't want it to actually snap in place. It looks nice, but I actually want a little gap in between these. Now I can come up here and disable the snapping tool, but I like that feature on. So what I'm going to do, as I click and drag, I'm going to actually hold down the Option key, and that temporarily disables the snapping tool. So here we go, and just going to roughly eyeball and and line that up. Brilliant. So now I'm going to go ahead and create this third panel. Select this one, hold down the Option key, click and drag, come down to the transform, and this right panel needs to be width. It needs to be 691 0.7 pixels. And let's go into the height. And the height needs to be, on the right panel, it needs to be 187.1, so that's fine. What I'm going to do, just come up here, I'm just going to flip this around. Now the left and right points. So the left point on this one needs to be 27. So let's just change that. Bring that down to 27, and this right is 100. Oops. Style in that again, 100. So it's got that nice flat bottom part of that panel. And let's just drag, and let's just line this up roughly. Again, I'm just holding down my Option key as I move that, just to temporarily disable the snapping. Perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead and create this middle panel. Select this one, hold down the Option key and drag, and let's just rotate this around. Come down to the transform panel, and the middle panel needs to be 326.3. So let's dial it in, 326.3. And the height on this one actually does change. It's actually 151 pixels. Oops, 141 there, 151. And again, come to the left point. If you're following along, the left point on this one is 51. So let's dial that up a bit. 49, 50, 51. And the right one on this one is, again, 100. Again, and let's just line this up. So you can see we're starting to kind of build the line here, and there's just one more missing piece that I need to do down here. So rather than creating it again, I know it's going to be a rectangle. So let's select the square tool, and let's just drag that out, and actually let's dial in the exact dimensions, and the width is 351.6, and the height on this one is 169.1. 169.1. And we're just going to use our move tool to line, oops, let's undo that. Let's just select our move tool, and let's just line that up in place. Perfect. So there we go. We've now got our Dawn line logo. Now I think in the original, I think there was an actual change, and we actually used a gradient where we sort of went from a darker yellow to a lighter one. Again, you know, choice of colors of yours, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to stick with what we have so far. Now, I'll come over to my layers panel. It's starting to look a bit messy. So what I'm going to do is start to organize this. So if I select the rectangle and hold down the Shift key to select all of the shapes, and what I need to do now is to group these together. So I'm going to come up here to these operations there, and I'm going to use the add feature and click add, and now it's created this one shape for me and group them all together. Perfect, exactly what I need. Now if I drag this around again, because I've got snapping on, here we go, and drag up, I want to align this. You can see I've kind of got these yellow and green lines going across the screen to make sure that this is center aligned, and that's perfect. So again, like I did with the background, what I need to do now is duplicate this actual Dawn 9 logo. Again, make sure it's selected, press the shortcut Command J, and here we go. So we now have two of them. So what I need to do now is select one of these. So I'm going to select the top one, hold down the Command key and select this background, and I come up to these operations. This time I'm going to use subtract. Perfect. So if I turn off this and unlock this and turn this off, you can see now with what I've got selected here, I've now got this transparency through this Dawn 9 logo. So I've got the original one, turn it on, and I've got this background. So this is the overlay. If I move this around, this is the overlay. This is what, let's Command Z to put that back in place. So this is what I'm going to be using to actually overlay my overlay inside of Final Cut, and the video is just going to be shown through these panels. And that is what Dawn 9 wanted to achieve. They wanted the video just kind of showing through these different panels. And let's turn us off. And with this one, we're going to be using this one for motion to create the 9 to sort of the door sort of close and shut. And that will make more sense when we get over to motion and really sort of get into creating this little intro. So do you know what, guys? I'm happy with what I've created so far. If you guys have followed along, hopefully you will see something similar on the screen. Again, you guys can use whatever shape you want. But if you guys have followed along, brilliant. So what I need to do now, I'm happy with all of this. I'm going to come up now to the export persona. And I want to export all of these. But right now under slices, it's only showing me the background. So I need to choose the layers panel. And there are my 3 shapes. So what I need to do now is select these and create a slice for the background. And it's giving me this indication that it's created a slice from it. And also gave me the resolution, which is fine. Same for this. There we go. And a little indicator to tell me that I've now got these 3 slices. So I come over to the slices panel and there we go. So for the background, I could come down here and just go export selected, and anything that's ticked will be exported. But I want to do something different. I want to export this as a JPEG because the default is a PNG. So I'm going to select just this one and come over here to the little icon here. But first of all, I want to change the export option for this, and I'm going to choose JPEG best quality. Now go to the share icon, and I've already created a folder on my desktop, show you here, called door9, and in there's a subfolder for my Affinity files. And you can see I've already created some of this earlier. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go background. Let's just get rid of that one and just get that replaced. Yes, just replace that. And then for these 2, they're set for PNG 24 with transparency. So let's uncheck these 2. So the only 2 are going to get exported are these 2 now. This slice 2 and slice 1. Export selected. Let's choose my desktop, door9, Affinity, and let's go export. Perfect. So let's just go into my Finder to see what's going on here. So on my desktop, I've got this door9 folder in my Affinity folder, and I've got all my slices that I need. I've got my background, got my slice, and the slice 2, and the transparency layer. So this one was the one I created early on. So I'm just going to get rid of that for now to not confuse myself. So those are the 3 items we created inside of Affinity, and I'm happy with that. Let's just close that. So what I'm going to do now is come down to my dock, and I'm going to now open up Motion, and we're going to show you a quick little animation. Now, Motion is a very complex piece of software, and I'm not going to go into depth of any detail because really this is really based on just this particular project. But if you guys have Motion, do follow along, or even if you're interested, I think Motion's around £40 on the App Store. And what I think really is amazing is when you combine something like Affinity Designer, which is £40 as well, and Motion, so you're looking around 80 UK pounds. Now, that's not a lot of money for 2 amazing pieces of software. So you can start off with Affinity, get your design going, export your layers, and then create some amazing animation inside of Motion. I'm going to show you just something simple that we can create today. So I'm going to open up Motion. We're going to get in there, and if you have Motion, please do follow along. Okay guys, here we go. So now Motion is open up. I'm going to select Motion Project. Again, I'm not going to go into any depth into any of this information. There are tutorials on Motion out there. So I know what I need for this project. It's a Motion project. The preset is broadcast 1080 HD, which is fine. I'm just going to change the frame rate to 25 frames per second and just change the duration to 0.6, so 6 seconds. It's more than what I need, but it's going to give me a bit of leeway in there. I'm just going to click open. And here we go, inside of Motion. Now, again, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on here. But if I just do a couple of things, I'm going to come down here and just close this timeline. I'm going to come over to the bottom left and close the inspector. Now, when you think about the graphic software, something like Affinity Designer, you've got your layers panel and you've got your canvas. So essentially we're seeing the same thing, your layers, your canvas, where all your work's going to be going on. The difference is, let's just turn these back on, is that, and the inspector, let's get these back on. The difference is really, it allows me to animate those objects over time. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to come over to my file browser and locate those files. I've got my desktop selected, and inside of that folder are those 3 files. So I don't need all 3 of them. I just need this one and this one, so I'm going to use the command key and select those both, and let's hit import. And there we go, perfect. Now I'm just going to hit command minus once, just to zoom down a bit to 66%, just so I can kind of see more of what's really going on. So if we select the slice line, what I want to do here, this slice one, is this door 9 logo. What I want to do is get this rotated so it looks and it gives that appearance of a door closing. And you can see these little panels, and they're meant to be parts of that door, and that was the concept behind door 9 when they approached me. Now to achieve that, what I need to do, because if I play at the moment, it's just static, there's no animation going on. So let's go back to the beginning of my timeline, and again in my layers panel, I'm just going to select this slice. And this time I'm going to come over to the inspector over here and go down to properties, and under the transform we're going to look at rotation. So I'm just click on this little drop down arrow here for the X, Y and Z. And what we need to rotate is the Y position. Now if I just click on this dial here, you can see it's starting to rotate over here in the canvas. What it's doing, it's rotating around the sensor. Of course, doors do not rotate around the sensor. So what I need to tell motion is to rotate around, somewhere around here, around this point. So I'm just going to command Z just to undo and reset that. Now, there's a couple different ways to tell motion to do this. I can either come down to my tools here and choose anchor point, or I can come up here in canvas and right click and choose anchor point. And this little icon pops up. Now you've got your 3 little icons. So you've got your red, you've got your green, and you've got your blue. And what it's going to show us is if I drag the green up and down, it's going to adjust the anchor point for the Y axis, and the red is going to do it for the X, and the blue little circle is actually the arrow pointing towards you for the Z axis. Let's just undo what I've just done, and we're going to drag over here on this red arrow for the X position. And let's drag it roughly somewhere around here, just to the edge of this panel here. So now to the motion, use this point here to rotate around. And to show you that, make sure the slice is selected again and come into the transform under my properties. And let's play around with this again. You see now, it's now rotating around that panel. So let's reset that. So if I come down to my timeline, I need to make sure my playhead is at the beginning. Select the slice, come into the inspector under properties again, and under the Y rotation, you can see as I hover over, there's this little plus icon appears. If I click, let's undo that. Let's dial this in, so I know what this needs to be. It needs to be around, let's try 83. Here we go. So at the beginning of the project, I want to tell motion that I want it off the screen, and then roughly when I get to around 2-3 seconds for the door to close. So as I hover over again, like I said, this little icon is the add keyframe icon. So if I click, it's going to add a keyframe, and what I'm telling motion is at this position in time, at this point in time, be in that position. Okay? So let's drag the playhead to roughly around 204, so around 2 seconds and 4 frames. And I'm going to double click and type in 0 to reset that. Now, as long as you've got one keyframe set, you don't need to add another keyframe. As long as you dial in the number, it will automatically add that keyframe for you. And as you can see down in my timeline, I have the keyframe for the beginning and the keyframe for the end position. So let's drag that back and let's play that to have a quick look. There we go. Perfect. Now I am going to add a sound effect to this, and I am going to do that inside of Final Cut. And if I drag it to the beginning, you can see you can slightly still see this, and I could fix this inside of Motion. It's not really a big deal for me at the moment, because I know that I can resolve this very simply inside of Final Cut. For you motion guys, do what you need to do. But I'm going to leave this as it is, and I'm going to save this, and I'm going to edit this inside the Final Cut. So there we go. There's a little intro, and it's all starting to come together. So first of all, with an Affinity, we designed this, and we've exported it, and we now create a little animation. We're now going to move on. Actually, let's save this first. Let's head up to my menu bar, and here we go. We want share, and I want to export movie. Now, this preset has been saved from my last setting, from the last time rather, that I used motion, and that's fine. I'm going to export this as H.264, and it's going to do the video and audio, even though there's no audio there. That's fine. I'm not worried about any of these settings because I know for this project, this works really well. I'm just going to hit next, and let's give it a name. Let's just call this Door 9 Intro. And I'm going to save it to my Door 9 folder and hit save. And that's going to save that really quickly. So here we go. Let's close that for now, that's fine. So we've started off in Affinity, we've created this logo, we've imported it into Motion, created a very, very simple animation, and we've now saved that, and we're going to now finally put this project together inside of Final Cut. Again, so I'm going to come down to my dock, and there we go. I'm going to open up Final Cut. Okay guys, so here we are inside of Final Cut. And again, I don't really want to go into any depth of Final Cut, but I just want to show you this work process. So I'm going to show you what I've done here. I've already created a library here for the Door 9, and we'll come back to this because this is my final project, and I'll show you the completed project. And in this video, again, I didn't want to spend time rebuilding everything because it took me quite a while to get the video exactly how I wanted to do, but I'm definitely going to start you off and show you the workflow. So I'm going to, first of all, I want to come up to the Final Cut menu. I'm going to go File, New, and I'm going to create a new library. And I call this Door, let's call this Door underscore 9. And let's hit save. Oops. It's really saved, so let's just call this 9 part 1. You can name whatever you want, guys. And the reason why I created a separate library is because I've got all these different other projects going on. And so for example, if the client then says to me, he wants to receive the actual final file to make any adjustments himself, because I've got a separate library, and if he's using Final Cut, I can send him this, and all everything in there he will receive. And that's why I've created an external library. And what it's done now is given me an event. And what I'm going to do now is hit import media, or I can come up to the file menu and go to import media. Either way works, or the shortcut Command I. Now, what I've done earlier on, before I start this video, let's just go to my desktop, and there's Door 9. So inside of here, I've already created folders with all the videos and all the files that I need. So there's the Door 9 intro movie, there's my logos and all the music that I'm going to use for this video. So I'm going to go import all, and it now gives me these options to ask me to choose what, how do I wish to import these. So first of all, the only one that I need to worry about in regard to this video is to copy to library. I can leave the files where they are, but I always like to make an additional copy to that. Now, this information down here in regards to what I'm doing today is I don't need to use any of these options. But as you hover over these, a little tooltip will pop up and it tells you what it does. Again, I'm not going to go into any depth into Final Cut today. This is more about my workflow from Affinity to Motion to Final Cut. And I know the only option I need today is just to copy to the library. So I'm just going to hit import and wait for my files to load up. So there we go. There we go. Final Cut is loading up my files and all of my information is in there. Now if I scroll down, I then have this Door 9 intro which I created. And there we go, we've got a Door 9 sound effect that I've also imported as well. So I'm just going to drag this down to my timeline. Oops, actually I forgot to do something. Let's go back up to the file menu and let's go new. I need to create a new project for them. That would be helpful. Again, actually let's call this D9. And again, regarding these properties, it's automatically going to create the resolution based on the first video I dropped down. And I know the first one I dropped down is 1920 by 1080, so that's all going to be fine. Just hit OK. Here we go, let's try that again. Let's drag this down. I'm going to use Command plus just to zoom a little bit. And there's my animation going on. Now, first of all, oops, remember I said in the beginning in motion that you can kind of see that. I don't like that. I like to have a nice little fade in. So I'm going to select the intro. I'm going to select the intro down here in my timeline. And what I'm going to do here is hit shortcut Command T. And it's going to create a nice little fade in for me. Here we go. So it starts off black. Let's come back up to my door 9 event. And let's drag the sound effect underneath that. And let's give that a quick playback, see what that looks like. Perfect. As you can see, as the door closes, the peak of the sound effect is timed up really perfect with that. Perfect. Now what I need to do, because this is significantly longer than a sound effect, I'm just going to come to the end of this intro and let's drag this in. And I actually probably want it a little bit longer, so roughly around here. Perfect. So what I need to do now is come back up to my library inside of this event. I now have under here the Apple MacBook Air song. Let's drag that down to my timeline. And let's just zoom in. And what I need to actually do, I need to trim the beginning of the part because the audio actually doesn't start for there. Let's just trim that up a little bit. And let's just trim the video back. So the door closing roughly, sort of timing wise, I want to get it right. So as soon as the door closes, it switches then into the video. So let's just play this back a little bit. Perfect. I may make a little adjustment if necessary. And let's just zoom back out. So right now, if we look at what's going on my timeline, I've got the song for the whole video, and this is roughly just over 30 seconds long. Now, I'm not going to go through all 30 seconds of this. I'm going to do a few seconds just to kind of show you the workflow, and then I'm going to head over to my final project and show you the completed project. Okay, so I've got my intro, got my sound effect, and we've got the main song. So if I select this, what I want to do now is choose parts of this clip, parts of the song rather, where I actually want to add some of these videos to. So these are the files that I imported just recently. And all of these are from the actual Door 9 website of videos that people have made and uploaded to their site. And what they want me to do is choose parts of these clips to actually fit behind their logo. So what I'm going to do is, if I play this, right, what I like to do is play along with it, have a feel for the track. And again, it all depends on what type of file that you've got playing. Now, I'm going to give you a shortcut here, and the shortcut is M. And that M is for adding a marker. And what I'm going to be doing is now I'm going to hit play, play back the song, play back this project. I'm going to hit M to create some markers of where I would like to add different portions of that clip to. And all they are is really a visual marker. I can just click and drag clips down, but it's nice to have a visual marker, a visual aid to see what's going on. So I'm going to play this back and I'm going to hit M a few times. You can see there I've created a few markers, little placeholder, these little visual aids, and I can right click on them and delete if they're in the wrong place and cut and copy them. But this is just rough. This is just a rough sort of idea of where I would like to see these clips. So now I come back up here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in just so I can see more of these clips. What I'm going to do is, let's skim over this. It shows me over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the I key, and it's going to create an endpoint. And I'm going to hit 0. The O key to create an out point. It's now created this little range for me. And I'm going to click and just drag this down. And actually you can see it's a bit shorter than this, so I'm gonna come up here and just drag this out a little bit. And let's just find another clip. Yeah, let's just scroll down. Here we go. That's a nice one to use. I like that. So, and again, I'm gonna hit the eye, create an endpoint, and actually, let's go back a bit. Let's start there. Actually, yeah, roughly around there. I'm gonna hit the eye again to reset the endpoint, and roughly around there to create an out point. And again, I'm gonna drag this down. You see, this time it's a bit longer, but we can adjust that. So what you're essentially going to be doing is going through and adding parts of the clip to these markers. So what I'm going to do now is just to show you, let's just zoom back out and let's just see if I can find that door 9 intro. Here we go. So this is what we created. So this is the one that we created inside of Affinity Designer when I created these panels and then combined them with this background and then did the subtract rather. If I click and drag this on top of my video, you can see now, it's now displaying the video. So this is why it needs to be on top, because anything that's underneath is now going to be shown through the door 9. Here we go. So again, if any clips that you don't like, and actually this isn't too bad, it actually works out pretty well. Let's just have a quick playback and see what that looks like. Cool. So that is the workflow. And again, I said I don't want to spend, you know, a long time kind of going through this, but that's the process: dragging down the clips to these markers, adding this transparency layer on top to kind of create this overlay. So if I head over to my other library here, and let's open this one up, and let's see if we can get this opened up. There we go. So this is the final project. So this is spent a bit more time doing this, and let's just have a quick look at this. So one thing I do want to show you is, remember in the beginning when I told you around 10 seconds of the original video, they kind of created this switch, because right now all the video is shown through this this transparency layer, this transparency logo. And if I come over here, it switches around. And how I was able to achieve that is if I select this original one, and I'm going to come over to the inspector. If you guys don't see that, just click on this little icon to see your inspector. And we select video. And if I scroll down to the bottom, for those of you who use Affinity, we're used to the blending mode. This one's set to normal. If I come over here and select this one, what I've done, again, I've changed the blending mode to overlay. So you can change it and use whatever you want, but overlay works really well in switching it around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play back this project so you can kind of see it in full. All I've done in regards to any additional work is just extending it. And again, I don't want to spend time doing all this, and I've added a little title at the end. So guys, hopefully, you know, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop them. Or if there's anything that you guys would like to see, please let me know. This is my first tutorial, so guys do let me know what you think, and hopefully you've learnt a few things along the way. And again, you know, this was never ever designed to go in depth into anything, but really my workflow from initial concept, sort of creating an idea inside Affinity Designer and then creating a little animated intro inside of Motion and exporting that video and creating and importing all the objects together and put them together as one final project inside of Final Cut. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get to the beginning, I'm going to hit full screen and play this back to you guys, and you know, let me know what you think, and hopefully we'll get to speak to you guys soon, and enjoy.